The deep space research ship Teguk moved slowly through the empty darkness between stars. Commander Deho stood on the bridge watching the stars through the large window. His crew had been traveling for 3 months, looking for new planets that humans could live on. "Sir, we're getting a strange reading," said So Young from her seat at the communication desk. She was young but very good at her job. "There's something big out there, but it's not moving." Deho walked over to look at her screen. "How big?" "Very big, sir. Maybe 10 times bigger than our ship." Tae-jin, the science officer, looked up from his computer. He was older than the others and had been studying space for 20 years. "It could be a dead ship. The readings show metal but no power." Deho thought for a moment. Finding a dead alien ship could be dangerous, but it could also teach them many things. "Take us closer, but stay ready to run if we need to." As they got closer, they could see the ship clearly. It was huge and black, with strange designs on its sides. The ship looked like it had been floating in space for a very long time. "I've never seen anything like this," said Nari, the team's expert on old alien things. She was excited but also scared. "The design is completely different from any alien ship we know." The dead ship was much bigger than anything humans had ever built. It was longer than a city block and covered with weird symbols that seemed to glow softly in the darkness. "Are there any signs of life?" asked Deho. Tae-jin checked his instruments again. "No life signs, sir. But the ship still has some power. Very little, but some." Deho made his decision. "We're going aboard. Nari, Tae-jin, you're with me. So Young, stay here and watch for any problems." They put on their spacesuits and took a small shuttle to the alien ship. The ship had a big hole in its side, probably from a battle long ago. They flew the shuttle through the hole and landed inside. The inside of the ship was dark and cold. Their lights showed long hallways with high ceilings. Everything was much bigger than it needed to be for humans. "Whoever built this was much taller than us," said Tae-jin, looking at doorways that were twice as tall as a human. They walked through the ship for an hour. Most rooms were empty or destroyed. But then Nari found something special. "Look at this room," she said, her voice full of wonder. They entered a large round room. The walls were covered with crystal panels that glowed with soft blue light. In the center of the room was a tall crystal tower that reached from floor to ceiling. "It's some kind of data storage," said Tae-jin, studying the crystals with his instruments. "These crystals contain information, lots of information." Nari walked closer to the crystal tower. As she got near, some of the crystals began to glow brighter. "It's reacting to me." "Be careful," warned Deho. Nari touched one of the crystals. Suddenly words appeared in the air above the crystal, written in light. But the words were not in any language they knew. "Wait," said Nari, looking more closely. "Some of these symbols, I think I've seen them before, in very old ruins on Mars." She touched another crystal. More words appeared, but this time in a different alien language. Then another crystal showed words in yet another language. "It's the same message in many different languages," realized Tae-jin. Nari worked for 2 hours, using her computer to translate the different languages. Some she knew, others she had to guess at. Finally, she found a language she could read completely. Her face went white as she read the glowing words. "What does it say?" asked Deho. Nari's voice was quiet and confused. "It says the first law of the galaxy, do not trifle with humans." The 3 humans stared at the words floating in the air. Deho felt confused and worried. "That's impossible," said Tae-jin. "Humans have only been in space for 300 years. This ship looks millions of years old." Nari touched more crystals. The same message appeared in dozens of different alien languages. Some of the languages were from alien races that humans had met. Others were completely unknown. "Every single crystal has the same warning," she said. "And look at this." She showed them her computer screen. "The dating of these crystals shows they are at least 5 million years old. Maybe older." Deho felt a chill run down his back. So, aliens have been warning each other about humans for millions of years, even before humans existed? "It gets stranger," said Nari, touching more crystals. "Look at this section." New words appeared. The sleeping ones will wake when they find this knowledge. When they remember, the galaxy will shake. The old ways will return. Taejin stepped back from the crystals. This is talking about humans waking up. But waking up from what? Nari found more messages. They forgot themselves to let others grow. But forgetting was always meant to be temporary. When they remember who they were, nothing will be the same. So Young's voice came through their radio from the ship. Commander, I'm picking up some strange signals. It's like the whole galaxy just woke up. Hundreds of alien ships are moving toward our location. Daeho felt danger growing around them. How long before they get here? At least 6 hours for the closest ones. Copy more of this data, quickly. Daeho told Nari. We need to get back to Earth and tell them what we found. As Nari worked to copy the crystal data, she found one more message that made her heart beat fast. The humans will not remember slowly. Once the awakening begins, it will happen quickly. They will remember their power, their technology, their purpose. The galaxy will either welcome their return or be forced to accept it. Taejin grabbed Daeho's arm. Commander, my instruments are showing something impossible. Our ship's computers are changing themselves. It's like they're upgrading, but nobody is controlling it. Daeho looked at the glowing crystals one more time. Whatever they had found here, it was already changing things. The aliens racing toward them probably wanted to stop humans from learning more. We're leaving now, he decided. Nari, did you get enough data? Yes, but sir, there are thousands more crystals here. This is just the beginning. As they left the alien ship, Daeho wondered what they had really discovered. The crystal messages seemed to say that humans were something more than they knew, something that other aliens feared. Behind them, the crystal room continued to glow, sending signals across the galaxy that the humans had found the forbidden knowledge. The awakening had begun. Ambassador Hyeon-woo had never seen anything like this before. The great meeting hall on Nexus Prime was filled with representatives from 12 different alien species, and they all looked angry. Very angry. He sat at the small table marked Human. Delegation, while hundreds of alien eyes stared at him. Next to him sat Ji-hai, who worked for human military intelligence but pretended to be just a diplomatic helper. The Vorthak leader stood up first. Vorthaks were tall and blue, with 4 arms and voices that sounded like growling. The humans have violated the most sacred law in the galaxy. They have touched the forbidden knowledge. Hyeon-woo stood up calmly. We were exploring space, as is our right. We found an abandoned ship and studied it. This is normal scientific research. A Catherian female made a sound like hissing. Catherians looked like large cats that walked on 2 legs. Normal? You call awakening the first protocol normal? I don't understand what you mean, said Hyun-woo, though he was beginning to understand. Very well. The Trilarian ambassador floated forward. Trilarians lived in water suits and looked like jellyfish with many tentacles. Don't pretend ignorance, human. Your people found the Codex crystals 3 days ago. Already your technology begins to change itself. Ji-hai had been listening carefully to all the alien languages through her translator. As a military intelligence officer, she was trained to notice things that others missed. What she noticed made her blood run cold. The aliens were talking about humans like they had been watching them for a long time. Not just watching, but controlling, with respect, said Hyeon-woo. Humans have the right to learn about our galaxy's history. The Nexari delegate stood up. Nexari were short and gray with large heads full of brains. Your history? Foolish human, you have no idea what your history really is. The Vorthak leader activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red dots appeared in many places. For 300 years, we have guided your expansion. When your colony ships went toward certain systems, we redirected them with false navigation data. More red dots appeared. When your technology developed too quickly in certain areas, we arranged accidents and equipment failures to slow you down. Yellow dots now covered the display. 47 human colonies that became too advanced were destroyed by what you thought were natural disasters or pirate attacks. Ji-hai felt sick. She had investigated some of those disasters herself. Now she realized they were not accidents. You have been controlling human development? Asked Hyan-Wu. Controlling. No. Containing, said the Cytherian. Keeping you weak and ignorant, as was necessary for the safety of the galaxy. The Trilarian's tentacles moved in patterns that meant anger. Now you have found the Codex. Already your ships grow stronger. Your weapons become more powerful. Your people begin to remember things they should not remember. Ji-Hai activated her secret recording device. This conversation was too important to lose. What are we supposed to remember? Asked Hyan-Wu. Two alien leaders looked at each other. Finally, the Nexari spoke. You really don't know, do you? Your minds are still mostly asleep. He activated another holographic display. This one showed ancient star maps and pictures of huge cities floating in space. 5 million years ago, one species ruled the entire galaxy. They were called the First Ones. They had technology that could move planets, create stars, and travel instantly between any 2 points in space. The pictures showed amazing things. Ships larger than moons. Planets covered entirely by cities. Stars arranged in perfect geometric patterns. The First Ones created most of the intelligent species in the galaxy, including mine, continued the Nexari. They guided our development, taught us, protected us. They were like gods to us. What happened to them? Asked Hyan-Wu. They disappeared, said the Vorthak, but they left behind warnings. The most important warning was about humans. The display changed to show the same crystal message that Nari had found. Do not trifle with humans. We thought it meant that humans were dangerous enemies of the First Ones, said the Cytherian. For millions of years we prepared for the day when humans would arrive in space, ready to fight them. But when humans finally reached space, you seemed weak and primitive, said the Trilarian. We were confused. The Nexari's large eyes stared directly at Hyan-Wu. Then our scientists made a terrible discovery. Human DNA contains genetic markers that match samples from First One ruins, not similar markers. Exact matches. Ji-Hai felt the room spinning around her. Are you saying humans are related to the First Ones? Related? No, said the Nexari quietly. Humans are the First Ones. The meeting hall became completely silent. The First Ones didn't disappear, continued the Nexari. They transformed themselves. They gave up their technology, their memories, their power. They became humans. That's impossible, said Hyan-Wu, but his voice sounded weak. Is it? Asked the Vorthak. How do you explain human intuition? Your ability to learn any language? Your natural understanding of technology? Your strange dreams of flying between stars? Ji-Hai thought about her own dreams. Since childhood, she had dreamed of commanding vast fleets of spaceships. She had always thought these were just fantasies. Why would the First Ones give up so much power? Asked Hyan-Wu. To let the rest of us grow, said the Trilarian sadly. They saw that while they ruled, other species could never become truly independent, so they chose to forget themselves and become weak, giving us room to develop. But they left warnings, added the Cytherian. Instructions that said the transformation was temporary. One day, humans would find the Codex and begin to remember. The Nexari looked scared. We have spent 5 million years building our civilizations. We are not ready to become children again under First One rule. So you tried to keep us weak, realized Hyan-Wu. We tried to keep you human, corrected the Vorthak. But now you have touched the Codex crystals. The awakening has begun. Your technology improves itself. Your people have dreams of ancient knowledge. Some humans already show signs of First One abilities. Ji-Hai remembered reports from across human space. Ship engineers talking about technology, that fixed itself. Pilots who could navigate without instruments. Soldiers who seemed to know things they had never learned. Fleet Admiral Wu Jin received your message 3 hours ago, said the Trilarian. Our ships are moving to contain human expansion before the awakening goes too far. You're going to attack human worlds? Asked Hyan-Wu. We're going to try to save the galaxy, said the Cytherian. If humans remember their full power, nothing will be able to stop them. The meeting ended with the alien delegates walking out. Hyun-woo and Ji-hai sat alone in the huge hall. "Do you think it's true?" asked Hyun-woo. Ji-hai looked at her hands. They seemed the same as always, but now she wondered what they might be capable of. "I've been having strange dreams lately. Dreams where I'm not human." Across human space, similar conversations were happening. Dr. Yoonji was studying the codex data that Nari had brought back. She was finding more impossible truths in every crystal. Fleet Admiral Wu Jin was watching alien fleets move toward human space. His strategic computers were predicting the alien movements with perfect accuracy, using tactics he had never studied but somehow knew. The awakening was happening faster than anyone expected. The question was whether humanity would remember who they were before the aliens tried to stop them. Captain Minho was drinking coffee on the bridge of his frigate Soul's Pride when the alarm started screaming. Through the window, he could see New Seoul, the human colony planet where his family lived. It was supposed to be a peaceful morning. "Sir, we have multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace," shouted Lieutenant Baum from the sensor station. "Catherian battlecruisers, 12 of them." Minho almost dropped his coffee cup. 12 battlecruisers against his single frigate meant certain death. Each Catherian warship was 5 times bigger than his ship and had weapons that could destroy a city. "Open communications," he ordered. The main screen showed a Catherian commander with orange fur and fierce yellow eyes. "Human vessel. You will stand down immediately. We are here to establish a protective quarantine around this system." "This is human space," replied Minho firmly. "You have no authority here. We have the authority to protect the galaxy from the threat you represent. Surrender now or be destroyed." Minho looked at his crew. They were all young and scared, but ready to fight. Below them on New Seoul lived 3 million humans, including his wife Soo-jin and their 2 children. "All crew to battle stations," he announced. "We're going to show these aliens what happens when they threaten human families." Engineer Soo-jin, who was working in the engine room, heard the announcement through the ship's communication system. She was Minho's wife, but on the ship she was just another crew member. She looked at her instruments and saw something impossible. "The engines are changing themselves," she said to her assistant. "Look at these readings. Our power output is increasing, but I'm not doing anything." The ship's computer screens began, showing new weapon systems that had never been installed. Defensive shields appeared on the status display even though the Soul's Pride had never carried shield generators. On the bridge, Minho watched as his weapons officer tried to understand what was happening to their systems. "Sir, our plasma cannons are evolving. They're becoming something else, something much more powerful." The Catherian battle cruisers began moving toward New Seoul in attack formation. Minho knew he should run, but something inside him refused to retreat. "All weapons fire at will," he ordered. What happened next made no sense to anyone watching. The Soul's Pride's weapons had been simple plasma cannons that could barely scratch a battle cruiser's armor. But when they fired, beams of pure energy tore through the Catherian shields like they were made of paper. The first Catherian ship exploded completely. The others stopped advancing and began firing everything they had at the human frigate. Soo-jin watched her engine displays in amazement. "The shields are holding perfectly, but we don't have shields this strong. We don't have shields at all." Minho felt something strange happening in his mind. Battle strategies he had never learned appeared in his thoughts. He could see exactly where each enemy ship would move next, exactly when to fire for maximum damage. "Attack pattern Delta 7, he ordered, though he had no idea what Delta 7 was. His crew somehow knew exactly what to do. They moved the ship in patterns that seemed to dance between enemy fire, while their weapons destroyed one Catherian battlecruiser after another. On New Seoul's surface, people watched the impossible battle through telescopes. A single human frigate was defeating an entire alien fleet. Similar battles were happening across human space. On every world, alien fleets arrived expecting easy victories against primitive humans. Instead, they found human defenders who fought with skills and weapons that should not exist. General Dong Hyun commanded the defense of human space from Titan Base near Jupiter. He sat in his command center watching reports come in from dozens of systems. Sir, the aliens are retreating from the Ross 128 system. Captain Lee Min destroyed their entire fleet with just 2 destroyers. Colony ship Busan reports that their mining lasers somehow became superweapons when pirates attacked them. The defense platform at Alpha Centauri is firing weapons we never built. The computer says they're first one plasma lance systems, but that's impossible. Dong Hyun looked at the tactical displays and felt a strange sense of familiarity. He had commanded battles like this before, but that was impossible. He was only 40 years old and had never fought a space war. But the memories felt real. He remembered commanding thousands of ships, defending hundreds of worlds, using weapons that could destroy entire solar systems. General, should we press the attack? Asked his aide. Yes, said Dong Hyun without hesitation. Send the fleet toward the Cytherian home system. It's time to end this. His aide looked surprised. Sir, we don't have a fleet large enough to attack their home system. Dong Hyun looked at his displays again. According to the official records, humanity had maybe 200 warships total, but somehow he knew that wasn't true anymore. Check the shipyard reports again, he said. His aide's face went pale as he read the new data. Sir, our shipyards report completion of over 2,000 new warships in the last 3 days. But that's impossible. It takes months to build a ship. The ships are building themselves, realized Dong Hyun, just like our weapons are upgrading themselves. On the planet Mars, young Mi sat in her apartment trying to understand what was happening to her. She had always been a little bit psychic, able to sometimes read people's thoughts or move small objects with her mind. Human scientists said these abilities were rare and weak, but since the news about the Codex crystals, her abilities were growing stronger every hour. She could now read the thoughts of people on the other side of the planet. She could move entire buildings with her mind. Most frightening of all, she could feel the thoughts of every human in the solar system. They were all changing, all remembering things they had never learned. Young Mi reached out with her mind toward the alien fleets, attacking human worlds. She felt their fear and confusion as they realized that humans were not what they seemed. With almost no effort, she disabled the engines on 3 Trilarian warships that were attacking the colony at Proxima Centauri. The ships drifted helplessly in space while human defenders boarded them. Similar incidents were happening everywhere. Humans with no psychic training were suddenly capable of incredible mental powers. Engineers were building impossible technology. Soldiers were fighting with skills that took lifetimes to learn. Back on the Soul's Pride, Minho watched the last Cytherian battlecruiser retreat into hyperspace. His small frigate had defeated 12 warships that should have been able to destroy it easily. Sujin came to the bridge, her face full of wonder and fear. Minho, I need to show you something. She led him to the engine room. Where there had once been a simple fusion reactor, there was now a glowing crystal device that seemed to bend space around itself. It changed by itself, she said, and I understand how it works even though I've never seen anything like it. Minho looked at the device and somehow knew it was a first one power core, capable of providing energy for 1,000 years. We're not human anymore, are we? Asked Sujin. Minho thought about his dreams from the past few nights. Dreams of ruling the galaxy with wisdom and power, of guiding younger species toward greatness, of carrying responsibility for billions of lives. Maybe we're finally becoming what we were always meant to be, he said. Across human space, the transformation was accelerating. Ships were evolving into vessels of unimaginable power. Humans were remembering abilities they had forgotten for millions of years. The galaxy was about to rediscover why the first ones had been both feared and loved. The aliens had tried to contain humanity before they could awaken. They were too late. The awakening was complete, and nothing would ever be the same. Dr. Nari stood at the edge of what had once been impossible. The ancient First One city stretched out before her like a dream made of metal and light. Just 3 weeks ago, this planet had been listed as uninhabitable rock in human star charts. Now it was clearly the most advanced place she had ever seen. The moment our shuttle landed, everything just turned on, said her research partner Jaemin, his voice full of wonder, like it was waiting for us. Tall spires of crystal and metal reached toward the sky, glowing with soft colors that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. The air itself felt alive with energy. Streets that had been dark for millions of years now hummed with power. Nari walked toward the largest building, her instruments going crazy with readings she didn't understand. The technology here is so far beyond anything we know. But somehow I can read these symbols. Ancient writing covered every surface, and Nari found that she could understand it perfectly. The words told stories of a great civilization that had once ruled among the stars with wisdom and power. Captain Jae-sung landed his ship in what his mind told him was a docking bay, though it looked like nothing he had ever seen before. His fleet of 12 human vessels had arrived at this forgotten world, following star maps that had appeared in their computers overnight. "Sir, the city's computer systems are trying to connect with our ships," reported his communications officer. "Should we allow it?" Jae-sung hesitated for only a moment. Something deep in his mind said this was safe. Allow the connection. Immediately, his ships began to change. Hull plating rearranged itself into more efficient patterns. Weapons systems upgraded to technologies that human science said were impossible. His flagship, which had been a simple military cruiser, was becoming something that could challenge an entire alien fleet. "The city recognizes us," realized Jae-sung. "It knows we're the ones who built it." On Earth, Chan-ho sat in his philosophy class trying to teach students about ancient civilizations. But the words coming from his mouth were not from any textbook. The first ones believed that true strength came from lifting others up, not keeping them down, he heard himself saying. They created the Catherian species to be perfect warriors, but taught them honor and mercy. They gave the Trilarians advanced science, but made sure they would use it to heal rather than harm. His students looked confused. "Professor, there's no record of the first ones creating other species." Chan-ho stopped talking, his head spinning with memories that felt completely real. He remembered standing in laboratories where new forms of life were carefully designed. He remembered long discussions about how to help each species develop their own unique strengths. "Maybe there should be records," he said quietly. That night, Chan-ho dreamed he was standing on a world of pure crystal, surrounded by beings of incredible beauty and power. They were discussing the greatest sacrifice any species had ever made. "Cannot guide them forever," said a voice that sounded like his own but older and wiser. "If we remain as we are, they will always be our children, never our equals. But if we give up our power, our memories, what guarantee do we have that we will awaken when the time is right?" asked another voice. "We will leave ourselves clues, and we will trust that when the younger species are ready to stand on their own, we will remember who we were." Chan-ho woke from the dream with tears on his face. The memory felt more real than his current life. Dr. Hee-jin was having similar experiences in her laboratory on Mars. She was supposed to be studying the codex crystals that Nari had brought back, but the information she was finding made no scientific sense. "Look at this genetic analysis," she said to her assistant. "Human DNA contains artificial markers, genetic tags that were deliberately inserted millions of years ago." "What did the tags say?" asked her assistant. Hee-jin stared at her computer screen. "Their instructions. Blueprints for abilities that are currently turned off. It's like someone designed humans to be much more than we currently are." As she worked, Hee-jin began to understand the incredible truth. The first ones had not just transformed themselves into humans. They had carefully planned every detail of the transformation. Human curiosity was designed to eventually lead them back to the Codex. Human creativity was designed to help them rebuild their lost technology. Human compassion was designed to ensure they would not repeat the mistakes of the past. "We didn't evolve naturally," she realized. "We were engineered by ourselves, in a previous form, to be exactly what we are." Her computer began displaying files that had not been there moments before. Technical specifications for First One technology, written in perfect English, as if her own computer was remembering things it had never been taught. On the ancient First One world, Nari made a discovery that changed everything she thought she knew about the galaxy. In the Central Archive building, she found records of the creation of every major alien species. The Catherians were created to be the perfect warriors, but with strong moral codes to prevent them from becoming conquerors. She read from glowing displays that appeared as she approached them. The Trilarians were designed to be master scientists and healers with natural curiosity balanced by deep empathy. The Nexari were given enhanced intelligence and long lifespans so they could serve as teachers and record keepers for younger species. Each entry showed the careful thought that had gone into creating balanced, successful civilizations. The first ones had been like gardeners, planting different types of flowers and making sure each had what it needed to grow. But then Nari found the final entry, and her blood went cold. Project Succession. The first ones will transform themselves into a new species, humans, who will be designed to rediscover their heritage when the younger species have matured sufficiently. The humans will then face a choice: resume their role as guardians, or forge a new path as equals among equals. However, there is a significant risk that the younger species, having grown accustomed to independence, will resist the return of their creators. If this occurs, the awakened humans must be prepared for war. Nari realized that the current conflict was not unexpected. The first ones had known that their return might not be welcomed. Captain Jae-sung's fleet had grown to over 50 ships, as more human vessels arrived at the ancient world. Each ship that landed was transformed by the city's technology into something far more powerful. But they were not the only ones coming to this world. His sensors detected massive alien fleets approaching from several directions. They're coming to destroy the city before we can claim more of our heritage, he understood instinctively. The approaching alien forces were enormous. Hundreds of ships from all the major species, working together against humanity for the first time in galactic history. Jae-sung looked at his own fleet. 50 ships against hundreds. In the past, this would have been hopeless. But his ships were no longer ordinary human vessels. All ships prepare for battle, he commanded. We're going to show them why the first ones were respected throughout the galaxy. As the alien fleets arrived, something unexpected happened. The ancient city itself began to wake up fully. Defensive systems that had slept for millions of years powered up. Weapon platforms the size of mountains rose from the ground. But most importantly, every human on the planet and in the fleet felt their transformation complete itself. They remembered not just their power but their purpose. The battle for the ancient world was about to begin, and it would determine whether humanity would reclaim its heritage or be destroyed by the children it had once created and loved. Nari looked up at the sky, where the first shots of the battle were beginning to flash like new stars. She understood now why the crystals had contained warnings about humans. They had not been warnings to stay away from dangerous enemies. They had been warnings not to make enemies of sleeping gods. Admiral Seong-ho stood on the bridge of his flagship Eternal Dawn as it emerged from hyperspace at the center of the galaxy. What he saw there made him remember everything, not just who he had been as a human, but who he had been before that, millions of years ago. The Nexus hung in space like a jewel made of pure light. It was the size of a small moon, but clearly artificial, covered with spires and platforms that seemed to reach in all directions at once. This had been the capital of the First One civilization, the heart of their galactic empire. "Sir, it's responding. To our presence," reported his communications officer. "The entire structure is powering up." Seong-ho nodded. He had expected this. The Nexus had been built to recognize its creators no matter what form they took. Behind his flagship came the greatest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Over 3,000 ships, each one transformed by First One technology into vessels of incredible power. But they were not alone in this system. Surrounding the Nexus was an even larger fleet, ships from every alien species in the galaxy, united for the first time in their history against a common threat. Incoming transmission. "From the alien fleet," announced the communications officer. The main screen showed representatives from all the major species. The Catherian admiral looked tired and desperate. The Trilarian commander's tentacles moved in patterns of deep sadness. Even the proud Nexari delegate seemed ready to accept defeat. Admiral Seong-ho of the humans, said the Catherian. We know who you really are now. We know what you're capable of. We're here to make one final request. Speak, said Seong-ho simply. The Trilarian moved forward. Don't take away our independence. We know we were your creations originally, but we've grown. Beyond that, we have our own cultures now, our own dreams, our own purposes. We're not the same species you created millions of years ago, added the Nexari. We've become something new, something that exists on its own. Seong-ho looked at their faces and felt a deep sadness. These were not the grateful children he remembered creating. They were mature beings who feared losing everything they had built. On the planet below the Nexus, Mi-young walked through the reconstructed halls of the First One capital. She was no longer just a human philosopher. She had remembered her role as one of the primary architects of the original civilization. The halls were full of other awakened humans, each one remembering their ancient purpose. Scientists who had once designed stars, engineers who had built worlds, generals who had commanded fleets across the galaxy. But Mi-young also saw something troubling. Many of the awakened humans wanted to simply return to the old ways, to resume their role as the galaxy's rulers and guides. Look what the younger species have done without our guidance, said Kyung-soo, who had once been the First One emperor. Wars, poverty, environmental destruction. They need us to lead them again. They created beauty and art that we never imagined, countered Mi-young. They developed philosophies we never considered. They found solutions to problems in ways we never would have tried. The debate had been going on for hours. Half the awakened humans wanted to reclaim their role as benevolent rulers. The other half believed the younger species deserved to continue their own development. Back in space, the standoff continued. The alien fleet was enormous, but everyone knew it would not be enough if the humans chose to fight. First One technology was simply too advanced. Seong-ho received a private communication from his own government on Earth. The president's voice was worried. Admiral, we're getting reports that some of our people want to use this power to rule the galaxy again. They say it's our right, our destiny. Seong-ho was quiet for a moment. The temptation was real. Humanity could end all war, solve all problems, guide all species toward perfection. They had the power to create a golden age that would last forever. But he also remembered why they had given up that power in the first place. Mr. President, I need to address both fleets. Can you arrange a galaxy-wide broadcast? Within minutes, every ship in the system, every world in the galaxy was watching as Seong-ho began to speak. My name is Seong-ho. I was once human. Before that, I was one of the first ones who ruled this galaxy with wisdom and power. The galaxy listened in silence. We gave up our power because we realized that ruling others, even with the best intentions, prevents them from truly growing. A parent who never lets their child make mistakes raises a child who never learns wisdom. He paused, looking at the alien ships surrounding him. We created you to be our children, but you have become something more. You have become our equals. You have created art and music that moves us to tears. You have found solutions to problems that we never faced. You have become teachers in your own right. In the First One capital, the awakened humans listened to their admiral's words. Many nodded in agreement. Others looked angry. Some of us want to return to the old ways, continued Seong-ho. They believe the galaxy needs our guidance to reach its full potential. They may be right. Under our rule, there would be no more war, no more hunger, no more suffering. The alien representatives looked terrified. But there would also be no more growth, no more discovery, no more of the beautiful surprises that you have given us by becoming more than we ever dreamed you could be. Seong-ho made his decision. Humanity chooses a different path. We will not be your rulers. We will not be your children. We will be your partners. The alien fleet began powering down their weapons. We will share our technology freely as gifts between equals. We will help you solve the problems that you ask us to help with. But we will not make your decisions for you. On the surface of the First One capital, Kyung-soo stood up angrily. This is wrong. We have responsibilities. The galaxy needs our guidance. Mi Young stood to face him. The galaxy needs our friendship, not our dominance. We tried ruling before, it didn't work. The species we guided became dependent and stopped growing. But look at the chaos without us. Look at the beauty without us, countered Mi Young. Look at what they've created that we never could have imagined. The debate that followed would reshape the future of the galaxy. In the end, the awakened humans chose wisdom over power. Seong Ho's voice filled the galaxy one more time. The first law that you found in the Codex, do not trifle with humans, was never a threat. It was a promise. A promise that if you respected us as equals, we would respect you the same way. Today we make a new promise. Humanity will use its power not to rule but to protect, not to guide but to support, not to create dependence but to encourage independence. The alien fleets began to withdraw, not in defeat, but in relief and hope. Years later, the galaxy would be a very different place. Human technology helped solve energy crises and disease, but always as gifts freely given to partners making their own choices. Alien art and philosophy enriched human culture in ways the first ones had never experienced. The Nexus became not a symbol of dominance, but a meeting place where all species could come together as equals. The ancient rule about not trifling with humans became a new understanding. That true strength lies not in the power to control others, but in the wisdom to help them grow. Mi Young, now serving as humanity's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, often thought about the choice they had made. They could have reclaimed their throne and ruled with benevolent authority. Instead, they had chosen something harder, but more beautiful, to be part of a galaxy where everyone had the freedom to become whatever they chose to be. The awakening was complete, but it had led not to the return of ancient power, but to the birth of something entirely new, a galaxy where former gods and their creations worked together as friends, partners, and equals. The oldest rule in the galaxy had been broken, not through conquest, but through the recognition that the most profound act of love is sometimes letting go.